Sivan, creator of the Super Fun Day books with neurodivergent characters. I started writing stories for my old children when they were little because as a mother of two neurodivergent kids, I believe it's essential for them to grow up proud of their differences.
They perceive the world differently, face challenges, but also possess strengths, and I wanted them to acknowledge this in themselves and cultivate their virtues.
The challenge as a mother was figuring out how to achieve that. In my quest to educate my children, I tried using tales and stories, but found it challenging to locate books depicting children with fidget toys, headphones, chewing gum. That's when I understood that what was really lacking were neurodivergent characters. It's surprising that less than 5% of children's books address neurodivergent children. I believe we need more representation in books so that our children can see themselves in the pages of books and know that they are not alone.
It's also important for neurotypical children to see neurodivergent characters in the pages of a book, to understand their peers and friends. But above all, it was essential to me that my children grew up feeling proud of their brain differences. Why should they perceive themselves as broken when they're not? I was looking for books that could reflect my children's experiences. So the stories were based on situations that happened to my kids, and then the illustrations emerged. In my first book, Benny's character resembles my older son, and in my second book, George's character resembles my younger son. In that book, Benny and George are siblings, and there's an illustration of a family that looks similar to ours. My goal was to provide these relatable representations to normalize their experiences, allowing them to see characters like themselves in illustrated books. I wanted them to understand that these experiences, though different, were also normal. I never had the initial intention of being an author-illustrator, but I became one to fill a void I noticed. I've always been a very creative person. I used to doodle in school, but I don't have formal training in art or illustration. I'm not sure why I thought I could do it. I just didn't dwell much on my lack of formal training. Instead, I focused on what I believed the books needed: simple illustrations that wouldn't distract the reader from the story. I had a clear idea of what I wanted, so I went for it. In early 2020, I realized I could help other families by publishing the stories I'd created for my children so that they could use them with their own kids. That's when I officially became an author. However, I had no idea that the biggest challenge of writing books is marketing. As an introverted person, social media was the last thing I wanted to be involved in. However, I realized I needed to speak on social media about the importance of neurodiversity as a way to promote my books. Otherwise, it would have been challenging to reach children and help them benefit from reading them. Even though I still have doubts, and at times I don't believe I'm doing all of this, when I take a moment to read the emails and messages I receive from families, it reminds me that my work is making a difference. Even without a long history as a writer or illustrator, my books are helping many children and families. My favorite part of being an author is the feedback I received. Sometimes I get emails from parents saying, "My child pointed to the page and said, 'That's me.'" It makes me really happy to see so many children enjoy the stories and loving seeing a character who needs to wear headphones. I believe there's magic in an illustrated book because it allows children to open the page and see themselves, a mirror of their own experience and normalization that can be hopeful. I created the Super Fun Day book series to depict neurodivergent children facing challenges and overcoming them. Each book presents a problem and a strategy to address it, empowering children to take control of their own lives. My books are structured as social stories, a tool used in special education to teach children about complex concepts. They also include lists because neurodivergent children often appreciate structure and order, providing them with a sense of comfort. The illustrations in the books are intentionally simple to maintain focus on the story, and the font is dyslexia friendly. Each book is available in both physical and digital formats. They are also accessible as audiobooks for all types of learners in both English and Spanish. While I don't have the exact number of children with autism who have benefited, I can say that each book has consistently made it to Amazon bestsellers list for children's books on disabilities. Boy, I was surprised by that. My children are part of the entire process. They choose the names for the characters and help me edit the books. I need to ensure that my characters' experiences are real, and my kids assist me in validating that. I think they think their mother is pretty good at being an author. Children tend to light up and say things like, "It looks like me," or "I feel the same way." And that's why I write these books. I want neurodivergent children to know that they are not alone, and what they experience, even if it's different from the other kids in their class, is normal. Some days my children take pride in their neurodiversity, and like all kids, there are days when they just want to fit in. I hope my books can help other parents, educators, and therapists support children who have more days when they feel proud of their brain differences. However, it can't just be about neurodivergent kids learning about themselves. Neurodiversity must be understood by everyone. Other kids notice the headphones, the gum, and the wobbly chairs. Books also offer a glimpse into someone else's life, and I love hearing how my books spark conversations amongst neurotypical children about the differences they observe in their neurodivergent peers. After all, as a mother, I can help change how my kids feel about themselves, but the world around them must also reinforce this positive message. It will take all of us to achieve that kind of change.
For me, this is a labor of love. My mission is to normalize these amazing differences in our kids. The more we normalize them, the more we can create a world where we can focus on strengths rather than deficits.
My 3 motivational words are: always be brave.